I have a tank here that I want to feature. It's one of my originals, and to me, all aquariums should be enjoyable. They should be beautiful, they should be tranquil, they should bring peace into your home, not aggravation. So if you're not trying to accomplish what I am, I'm afraid you may find yourself a little aggravated, because this tank here, and I'm gonna get into it with you a little bit and talk a little bit more detail. I just want you to kind of see some of the things that I've done with it. I have some plants growing out the back here. I have a very, inexpensive light. It does present an issue when it comes to getting red plants to stay red until they get closer to the surface, so it doesn't penetrate too deeply into the water. I got floating plants here, and I just kind of cleaned some of those out this morning. I got plants coming from submerged to immersed. They're growing out of the water. I love that. I have some other plants that are doing the same thing, and they're very unique. I don't even know, can't even identify some of them, but they're so pretty when they come out of the water. So again, this is the tank, and just the top view of it. So interesting to me, but I have some glare there from the, let's just let this focus for a second. Should focus on its own. There it goes. So very pretty. I just love the top views there, the fish moving around. Don't want to go over too far with it, but they're so pretty. And this tank has become so pretty. And I want to talk about it a little bit in some detail. So I'm just going to take a quick little pause and come right back, because I want to set a stand up so I can talk to you as we're filming from the front. So, 1 second. I wanted to do a video, and this is I just said, wait a minute, I'll be right back, and what's unbelievable is I have a glare here I didn't really recognize until now, because the glass is so clean and the background's dark, and it's kind of like a mirror. I can see the stand in it, can't really see me in it, thank God, but there is a glare. There is like a mirror. You can see the video stand, and that stinks a little bit. But hey, it's a result of part of this video. It's a result of getting this tank to where I wanted it, and it's what I want to discuss, because I think all tanks, all aquariums, all fish tanks should be fun and enjoyable. Like I mentioned, if you have to do water changes and change filters in and out, and clean your glass and clean your substrate and do all those things, after a while. Now I lost count of how many tanks I have in my home, and I have another video where I have 3 pots that I'm establishing outside with lotus. I'm in the West Palm Beach area, so I have the weather. I can kind of get some lotus established. Should have had them established a little earlier, since it's the end of November. But I'm just hoping they get a little rhizome, get going. I'm doing a little talk about that. But I have probably now, if I took a quick count, I think I have like 12 or 14 fish tanks. And I only picked the hobby up, as I mentioned, in March, like 9 months ago. And I just fell in love with it. I give credit to Father Fish. I give credit to MD Fish Tanks. And I give credit to Alexander Williamson of Fishery for kind of inspiring me to want to do this. I love the aquascapes of MD, but I don't have the gallery of wood and stone and all the different things. And for me, I just want something very natural looking, so I kind of lean a little bit more towards Father Fish when it comes to how I set my tanks up. And I'll also lean a little bit more towards Alexander Williamson of Fishery. And I just want to, so I like the natural, very heavily planted, low maintenance tank. So again, let's just go through some of the things I did, and based on inspiration. Now, I did my best to do a little aquascape based on watching MD, but this is nothing like what he does. The water is crystal clear, however, and I have no filter on this tank. I haven't had one now for almost 3 months, and the water is perfectly clear. I just feel good that the fish don't have to listen to that hum of the motor anymore. I don't know, I heard somebody mention that in a video I was watching about fish tanks, and the person was like, oh, you know, it must be so nice for these fish not to have to listen to the hum of the filter. I kind of thought about that myself one time, but here we are. Let me just get into it. The father fish influence: dirt at bottom, sand capped base. So that's how I start. That's the basis of it. Heavily planted, so I plant into the substrate, and let the roots of the plants through the substrate find the soil. I put root tabs in there. I grind them up and put it in the soil for longer lasting nutrients. If you do everything right, you're not, the fish waste and decay and debris, it's going to turn into it's going to replenish and re-nourish your soils. So start with the root tabs. They let it last a long time. A year from now, this has been up and running for about 8 months, 9 months. Just a few more months, it should really be self-sustaining, completely self-sustaining. I don't vacuum the tank. I don't do water changes on this tank. Again, there's no filter on this tank. I pointed out that I put some, house plants that their root systems get in there to pull nutrients out, keep that in balance. I just think all aquariums should be enjoyable, and this one is extremely enjoyable to me. I like to sit here and look at this. When you really think about it, you go to a Petco, they won't give you more than 1 fish per gallon, I think they say, or 1 fish per 3 gallons, whatever it is. But I find that the more fish I have in there, and I do it slowly, I set these tanks up, I take my time, I let a month or 2 go by, I have my 3 to 6 fish in it. Now the funny thing is, when you buy a lot of these smaller nano fish, they like to shoal or school, so you need to buy 6 or 7 at a time. In a brand new tank, they're saying you really shouldn't do that. So based on the nano fish, I will get 6 or 7. So they have that group, and they have that that less fear factor, because they're swimming in a school rather than solo. So I always start off with 1 species of fish. I always throw snails in right away, ram's horn. I do have some mystery snails that I had raised myself. If you see one in there moving around or just fell down behind that plant, I raised every single mystery snail I have here from eggs that were put in my front yard. Snail laid their eggs. I put them into a container, went through the whole process, and I had them hatch, and I've added them to this tank months and months ago. And I'm gonna probably look for another sack and do the same thing. I need some for the pots out back that I just talked about for the lotus and some water plants, and they're gonna have fish in it. They'll have the fish will be pooping, adding their fertilizer. And I like the snails to be out there because I'm gonna get algae, and let the snails get the algae going. We'll see how bad the algae gets. Maybe I'll stick something else in there. But again, this tank, total enjoyment. Low maintenance, no filter, no glass cleaning. Snails do all the work. No water changes, no vacuuming the substrate, nothing. And I've trimmed it now and then. I do trim the plants. I mean, I only trim them like maybe once every 3 to 5 months. I think I'm going to do another trim. I want to get some red plants kind of in the foreground a little bit to the left here. That's what I like to see. And the plants are all doing wonderfully. Their roots have found what the nutrients that they need. The plants are thick. The fish have their little spots. They all establish kind of like their own little ecosystem, their own little community. And they'll protect their little territory. They'll kind of just drive someone out, depending on which fish it is and what the sizes are. They all have their limits when it comes to being bullies, but they live in harmony. And I just love this tank. I wanted to share it with you. Again, all tanks to me, all fish aquariums should be enjoyable, and to me that enjoyment comes from low maintenance.
And this is extremely low maintenance. All I do is feed it very lightly. I grind all my fish flakes. I get a creel-based fish flake that also has beneficial bacteria in it. So whenever I'm putting it into the tank, any extra is it's adding beneficial bacteria. I grind it all very tiny. I grind it up, and fish will eat it. They'll find it. They see it. So if there's babies at all, it's fine enough for them. I don't completely grind it into like a powder. I just grind it down pretty good. So there's a lot of tiny little pieces and just a little bit bigger pieces. I just put a nice little sprinkle in. Keeps it from being overfed. The fish get plenty of food because there's a lot more pieces for them to get. I think when you put in too few flakes, the bigger ones will just gobble it up, eat it up, and then some aren't getting fed. And that's how I do it. I just grind my food up and let them. You can see there's a snail up top there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to keep the camera at an angle where the light isn't offering too much glare. That's the issue with video of tanks. I find is the glare of the lighting. So low maintenance, has a lot of plants, some Java moss, some interesting things, some grasses growing around. It's very thick. When I do maintenance on it and I do trim it, floating plants, of course, different kinds, plants growing out of the tank. But when I do the maintenance, it really does look extremely good. But you got to be careful how much you pull out of a tank like this. In other words, if I'm pulling plants out and the plants are filtering the tank, I got to be careful I don't throw it out of balance. So if I want to do a trim on this tank, I will do it in stages over the course of 5 days. I will do a little bit each day, just a little section. Get the plants, get it out, watch it. Next day, if it seems fine, do it again, do it again. I may stretch it out over 10 days depending on how much I want to trim. I'll just take my time, a little bit at a time, and within no time, I'm talking like, spending 10 minutes, right? 5, 10, 15 minutes max, just trimming some plants. I have a separate container where I keep the trims so I can use them down the road if I ever have a big tank or another tank, or I think I'm kind of done with tanks. I would like where this one is located, maybe a nice 4-foot tank, nice, good 200, 150, 200 gallon. I'd love to have that. But I got plenty of projects going on. Hope you enjoyed my video. Please subscribe. Again, very low maintenance. All aquariums should be fun. All aquariums, all fish tanks should be enjoyable. Thanks for watching.